Guys, this is a video for everybody. I have a buddy. He's 43 years old. Um, Lost his license when he was a kid, and just like over time, things snowballed to the point now that it's next to impossible for him to get them back. It costs a shit ton of money. He would have to stay out of trouble for 5 years or whatever it is. Um, he's 43 years old. I care about the dude. I want him to do good. I try to tell him you need to accept what the responsibility for what you've done, for your own actions, and things will get better after that point. But you have to put in the work. You got to put in the work to make it better for yourself. So I haven't talked to him probably about a month. So I called him today. I'm like, "Hey man, how you doing?" He said, "You're not going to believe this shit," which I already knew where the story was going as soon as he said that. So I knew he got in trouble. He's already on probation in Butler County for a DUI, like possession of narcotics or some shit from 3 years ago. So he's on probation already. He don't have his license. He buys a car, $250 little piece of shit Civic. He's going down a 4-lane road, 32, right here in Eastgate, and there's a hill, like a valley. So, I mean, it's probably a mile from one side of the valley to the other. As he goes to this light at the top of one side of the valley, it's nighttime, he sees some lights pull out. Well, he thinks it's a cop. So instead of just driving the speed limit and taking the next exit and trying to get away, or just seeing if he gets pulled over and getting the driving under suspension that he would have gotten anyway, what does he do? He mats it. Now the cop car could have easily caught up with him. Could have easily caught up with him as soon as he matted it. I mean, he said the car was probably maybe 200 yards behind him. But instead, it just gradually picked up speed with him. So he gets to the other side of the valley and he's going up this big ass hill, and his car starts to slow down. Cop hits the lights. So they pull him over. They gave him a ticket for doing 105 and a 55. And he said she actually clocked him doing 126, but she was being nice. She didn't want to give him a double because he was cooperative. Where he screwed up, though, is that he's 43 years old. If you're a young pup, unless you're a young pup, those sobriety tests are automatic fails. What do I mean? Take me, for example. I broke my hip. I've shattered my pelvis. I've broken my back twice. So, in the best of circumstances, dead cold sober, I've been sober for 5 years, I couldn't pass the sobriety test. So he takes the test anyway. He's got work boots on because I guess he just got off work or something. But he fails the sobriety test and he says, "Dude, I'm stone cold sober." I said, "Well, it didn't look good that you was driving anyway." I said, "But here's the problem with sobriety tests. If you're older than 25, possibly 30, and in really good shape, you should never take a sobriety test. Ever. Never. I don't care if you haven't drank nothing. Because what's going to happen is they're going to fail you, because if they're giving you a test, they believe that you've already been drinking or smoking weed or doing whatever. It's already in their head. So they're going to fail you. So now he is facing violation of the probation. These new charges out here, OVI, why under DUI suspension, because he got DUI suspension from the other county, and 105 and a 55 because the cop was nice. How nice of her. But she would have pulled him over anyway. But it gets better. Story gets better. I'm sorry, I messed up. Story gets better. So the tag on the car, since he don't have a license, he can't tag the car. So what does he do? He somehow gets a tag off of a rental car. So the tag of the car is technically stolen, felony. What do the cops do? They never mention the tag. They leave the car on the side of the road, and they take him to the state highway patrol so that somebody can come get him. So I have all kinds of issues with that too. If that was all they were going to do, there was no point in pulling him over to begin with. Hit the lights, hey, slow down, dickhead, and let him go. If you're just going to take him back to the patrol, because I've seen this happen. I've seen people get DUIs, called for a ride, then go jump in their other vehicle and take off again. I've seen that shit happen. But this is a case of him not taking responsibility. I get it, dude. I get that he's 43 years old. He doesn't have a license. He feels like he's in prison because he's stuck at home. I get all that shit. Recognize that you are responsible for that. You did that to yourself. Whether or not it's constitutional, moral, none of that shit matters right now. What we know is that you are continuing to give power to them because you won't accept what you did and find ways around it. You know, if you need a ride to work, give me a call. Call your dad. Call somebody. Well, you know, we'll work it out. There's enough people around you that we can work this out, but you have to want to do it yourself. And this isn't new. This has been going on for years with him. For years, I've had this conversation with him. Like, dude, look at me. If I can do it, there's nobody in the world that can't do it. I know everybody says that. Trust me. Anybody that ever gets sober says that, hey, you know, or stays out, you know, or gets in trouble and stays out of trouble, whatever it is. Anybody that changes their life says, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm telling you, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Anybody. But you have to put your mind to it. You have to accept what you're responsible for. So why does this matter today? If you listen this far, I want to tell you why this matters today. Because we all need to take responsibility for what's happening in our lives, collectively. So our government's a shit show. It is masquerading as government. It's not really a government. It is a ruling class that's lining their pockets, oppressing you while they're doing it. We need to take responsibility for that. And in order to take responsibility for something, you have to you have to allow your actions to fix the faults. Fix the faults, people. So that's what we need to do. We all need to accept where we've screwed up and change what we've done to screw up. In my case, I bowed to the cops my whole life. I refuse to do that anymore. That's one step I'm going to take. It hasn't killed me yet, but it will. It's going to lead to my death. That's fine. I accept it. Whatever. Whatever in your life, you know. Taxation. If you feel like taxation is part of the problem, stop paying your taxes. Now, I'm not saying that like condescendingly. I'm saying stop paying your taxes. Your extortion fees. If you think that voting got us into this, I don't vote. Stop voting. Eventually, we're going to get to the point where none of that shit's really going to matter, though, because in further steps will have to be taken. For instance, none of us have enforced the Constitution. So, but until we start taking responsibility for our own actions, creating a solution for the problem, acting on those solutions, we're not going to get anywhere. It's going to be the same bullshit. You're going to keep getting deeper and deeper, just as he is. He's deeper and deeper in trouble with the law now, not because he needed to drive, not because he he had to mat it, which is not surprising. This isn't the first time. This was the person. If you want to look up an accident, look up Claremont County. This is 1999, New Year or Christmas Eve, 1999, Bella Vista accident, and that was my buddy that was doing 100. So they estimated the speed at 160 in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, running from the police. Fucking idiot. Not for running from the police. He was an idiot because he was going to wreck no matter what. If they wouldn't have threw stop sticks out in front of him, he was going to wreck in it no matter what. There was no way that he wasn't going to. There was a 90-degree corner, literally 30 yards in front of where he wrecked, no matter what he was wrecking. He was in a BMW, wasn't in a monster truck or nothing. Claremont County, Bella Vista, Christmas Eve accident. You can probably look it up like that. I think it was 1999. Might have been 2000. Anyway, it ain't gonna change unless you want it to change.